Author Renee Salm has written The Myth of Nazareth.
Renee Salm, a person who has no academic credentials of note and has been criticized by scholars who do have credentials. And it is hardly surprising that his book was only accepted by the American Atheist Press. Nobody else would accept it to publish it. And when you consider the pathetic amount of research done on this book, you can see why.
A book that effectively demonstrates the controversial archaeology of the town where the Bible has Jesus Christ being born.
Right off the bat, Randy claims that the Bible teaches that Nazareth is where Jesus was born. Had the amazing Randy bothered to read the very first book of the New Testament, he would have learned that it was Bethlehem where Jesus was born, not Nazareth. It is rather foolish for one to make claims without first researching the facts to avoid being made to look as ignorant as Randy does here.
One such is the account in John 1 of the birth of Christ in the lower Galilee town of Nazareth.
You can search high and low through the book of John, and nowhere will you find it saying Jesus was born in Nazareth. In fact, in the 7th chapter of John, it clearly states that the Christ would come out of Bethlehem.
This town is not mentioned at all in the Old Testament.
It would be pretty ridiculous for the Old Testament to mention the name of Nazareth as the place where the Christ child would be born, when the Old Testament prophet Micah knew that he would be born in Bethlehem.
But let's examine these infallible facts, shall we? According to these holy words, said to be written by St. Luke himself, there was a synagogue at Nazareth. But extensive archaeological excavation, over a century remember, has only found the city well, nothing else, not one stone of construction remaining from this temple, anywhere in the vicinity.
If there was a synagogue in Nazareth at the time of Christ, that synagogue would have been almost 400 years old by 363 A.D. And in 363 A.D. there was an earthquake in Nazareth, which scientists say was around 7 on the Richter scale. This is a picture of a church that was built in the 19th century using 19th century building techniques and materials. This is what it looked like after an earthquake of 5 on the Richter scale. The church was a little over 100 years old at the time. So what do you think a 400-year-old synagogue built in around AD 1 using those ancient building techniques and materials after an earthquake of 7 on the Richter scale would have looked like? And you must remember, there were no Home Depots or Lowe's to get their building materials back then. And the people who needed to rebuild their homes and businesses got their materials wherever they could. And you can be sure that all the stones from the crumbled synagogue would have been scavenged by the people. And there were 2 more major earthquakes in 1202 and 1859. And the same kind of scavenging would have occurred then too. So for someone to expect there to be found a stone from a synagogue after over 2,000 years and all of these earthquakes and rebuilding, it is rather absurd. Do they really think each stone have carved into it the name of the synagogue?
Also, there is no Nazareth Hill, thus no brow of the hill, nor cliff exists or existed within the last 100,000 years.
Here is a view from the Basilica of the Annunciation in Nazareth, Israel today. Is that hills we see there? No, it can't be. It must be a figment of our imagination. So the kind of ignorance put on display here by the amazing Randy is typical of the kind of ignorance you will find in today's promoters of atheism. Be sure not to miss the next installment of More Atheistic Ignorance Exposed, which, Lord willing, will be coming soon.